service done by a company that looks at your Facebook page, and then it creates a book for you.
Oh, wow.
And like this book costs $60, and so it just goes through your timeline. And the picture on the front happens to be Mother Leela Avitz's living room, because I had posted her pictures when she was trying to sell her house for people to look at. And so they chose that picture to put on the cover.
With all the Hanumans and everything?
Yeah, you may have a hard time finding them though. If Gokula can, or somebody can take a look at it.
Good.
I have possible.
Well, I can take care of problems first.
So is the camera running?
Prabhupada should see it. Let's see it. Have you shown it to Prabhupada yet?
No,
No,
no.
let's show it to him.
Is the camera running? So,
Yes, it's on.
should I start? By you showing Prabhupada?
I don't see why not. You can try right tomorrow.
Yeah. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Baba Girivaradhari Yasodananda Vraja Yasodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Jaya Gora Nitai Jai Gora Nitai Gora Nitai Jaya Gora Nitai Jaya Prabhupada Shiva Prabhupada Jai Prabhupada Jaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Yato Jaya Mudiraya. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, we first offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Lord Narayana. Unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, Mother Saraswati, the goddess of violence, and Srila Vyasadeva, the author. And unto Srila Vyasadeva's bona fide representative, His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Text number 35 from the second canto, 9th chapter, answered by citing the Lord's version. Okay, please repeat. Yata Mahanti Bhutani Bhutesu Charvacheshwanu Pravishtanya Pravishtani Tatate Sunateshwaham Yata Mahanti Bhutani Bhutesu Charvacheshwanu Pravishtanya Pravishtani Tatatesu Nate Swaham Tatamahanti Bhutani Bhutesu Charvacheshwanu Pravishtanya Pravishtani Tatatesu Nateshwaham.
Prabhu, what's the spelling of the after shu, the CC on the board? It's CCAVA.
Yeah, Bhute.
After Bhute
Bhute Su, but then there's a double C, Bhute Shuch. It should be Shuch Cha. The Cha's accented.
Oh, you mean the C is attached to the Su? The first
No, what did you say?
There's two C's, so you can put them where you want.
Okay,
There's
and
two
then
C's.
is it AR or just AV?
It's SU accented, CCA accented, VA.
Okay. Yeah, it's right then. Just, I thought you were saying Charva.
Yeah, I thought I heard R too.
It's just occasional one. Somebody
Your
else?
turn for Kula Prabhu.
Oh, I haven't been paying attention.
Or
Somebody
Lakshmi.
else, Patrick can do.
The voice?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it will, yeah. I can't even see it from here.
Yata Mahanti Bhutani Bhuteshu Chavaseshu Anu Pravishtani Apravishtani Tateshu Nateshwaham
Bhuteshu Charvashayanu Pravishtani Aparavishtani Tatateshu Nastes Aham
Tatateshu Nateshwaham.
Yata Mahanti Bhutani Bhuteshu Shavasheshanu
Bhuteshu Chavacheshwanu
Pravishtanya
Pravishtani
Tatateshu Nateshwaham
Tatateshu Nateshwaham Pravishtanya pravishtani
Tateshu nateshvaham.
Tateshu natesvaham Tamanti bhutani Bhuteshu chavacheshvanu Pravishtanya pravishtani Tateshu nateshvaham. Anyone else? About it, huh? Okay, let's see what these words for words mean. Yata, just as, Mahanti, the universal, Bhutani, elements, Bhutesu, Bhutscha, Avachesu, and the minute, and gigantic, Anu, after, Pravishtani, entered, Apravishtani, not entered, Kata, so, Tesu, and then, Na, not, Tesu, and then, Aham, myself. Translation, please repeat. O Brahma, please know that the universal elements enter into the cosmos and at the same time do not enter into the cosmos. Similarly, I myself also exist within everything created. And at the same time, I am outside of everything. Yatamahanti bhutani bhutesu char vacheshvanu pravishtanya pravishtani yatatesu nateshvaham. O Brahma, please know that the universal elements enter into the cosmos and at the same time do not enter into the cosmos. Similarly, I myself also exist within everything created and at the same time I am outside of everything. Srila Prabhupada's Divine Purport. See if you can possibly stay awake, because I'm going to try to, I was planning on reading the whole thing. It's 3.5 pages, but it's broken up with some Sanskrit verses. The great elements of material creation, namely earth, water, fire, air, and ether, all enter into the body of all manifested entities. The seas, the mountains, aquatics, plants, reptiles, birds, beasts, human beings, demigods, and every one materially manifested. And at the same time, such elements are differently situated. In the developed stage of consciousness, the human being can study both physiological and physical science. But the basic principles of such sciences are nothing but the material elements and nothing more. The body of the human being and the body of the mountain is also the bodies of the demigods, including Brahma, are all of the same ingredients, earth, water, etc. And at the same time, the elements are beyond the body. The elements are created first, and therefore they enter into the bodily construction later. But in both circumstances, they enter the cosmos and also did not enter. Similarly, the Supreme Lord, by his different energies, namely the internal and external, is within everything in the manifested cosmos, and at the same time, he is outside of everything, situated in the kingdom of God, Vaikuntha Loka, is described before. This is very nicely stated in the Brahma Samhita, verse number 37, as follows. Ananta chinmaya rasa pratibhavitabhis tabirya eva nija rupataya kalabi goloka eva nivasatya kilatma bhutto govindamari purusham tamam bhajami. I worship the personality of Godhead Govinda, who by expansion of his internal potency of transcendental existence, knowledge, and bliss, enjoys in his own unexpanded forms. Simultaneously, he enters into every atom of the creation. This expansion of his plenary parts is also more definedly explained in the same Brahma Samhita, verse 35, as follows. Ekopya sora charitam jagaranta kotyam yachchatyasi jagaranda chaya jaranta adantarasta paramanu charantarastam govindamari purusham tamaham bhajami. I worship the personality of Godhead Govinda, who, by one of his plenary portions, enters into the existence of every universe and every particle of the atoms, and thus unlimitedly manifests his infinite energy all over the material creation. The impersonalist can imagine or even perceive that the Supreme Brahman is thus all-pervading, and therefore they conclude that there is no possibility of his personal form. Herein lies the mystery of his transcendental knowledge. This mystery is transcendental love of Godhead, and one who is subcharged with such transcendental love of Godhead can without difficulty see the personality of Godhead in every atom, in every movable and immovable object. And at the same time, he can see the personality of Godhead in his own abode, Goloka, enjoying eternal pastimes with his eternal associates, who are also expansions of his transcendental existence. This vision is the real mystery of spiritual knowledge. It's stated by the Lord in the beginning. Sarahashyam tad angam cha. The mystery is the most confidential part of the knowledge of the Supreme. And it is impossible for the mental speculators to discover by dint of intellectual gymnastics. The mystery can be revealed through the process recommended by Brahmaji in his Brahma Samhita, text 38, as follows. Premanjana charita bhakti vilochanena santa sadaiva hriyesu vilokayanti yam shama sundaram achincha guna swarupam govindamari purusham tamaham bhajami. I worship the original personality of Godhead Govinda, whom the pure devotees, their eyes smeared with the ointment of love of Godhead, always observe within their hearts. This Govinda, the original personality of Godhead, is Shama Sundara, with all transcendental qualities. Therefore, Although he is present in every atom, the Supreme Personality of Godhead may not be visible to the dry speculators. Still, mystery is unfolded before the eyes of the pure devotees, because their eyes are anointed with love of Godhead. And this love of Godhead can be attained only by the practice of transcendental loving service to the Lord, and nothing else. The vision of the devotees is not ordinary. It is purified by the process of devotional service. In other words, is the universal elements of both within and without. Similarly, the Lord's name, form, qualities, pastimes, entourage, etc., as they are described in revealed scriptures, or is performed in the Vaikuntha lokas, far beyond the material cosmic manifestation, are factually being televised in the heart of the devotee. The man with a poor fund of knowledge cannot understand, although by material science one can see things far away by means of television. Factually, the spiritually developed person is able to have the television of the kingdom of God always reflected in his heart. That is the mystery of knowledge of the personality of Godhead. The Lord can award anyone and everyone liberation, mukti, from the bondage of material existence. Yet, he rarely awards the privilege of love of Godhead. It's confirmed by Narada. Muktim dadati kohichit smarnabhakti yogam. This transcendental devotional service of the Lord is so wonderful that the occupation keeps the deserving devotee always rapt in psychological activities without deviation from the absolute truth. Thus, the love of Godhead developed in the heart of the devotee is a great mystery. Brahmaji previously told Narada that the desires of Brahmaji are never unfulfilled because he is always absorbed in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Nor has he any desire in his heart save and except the transcendental service of the Lord. That is the beauty and mystery of the process of bhakti yoga. Is the Lord's desire is infallible because he is a Achyuta. Similarly, the desires of the devotees in the transcendental service of the Lord are also Achyuta, infallible. This is very difficult, however, for the layman to understand without knowledge of the mystery of devotional service. It is very difficult to know the potency of touchstone. A touchstone is rarely found. A pure devotee of the Lord is also rarely to be seen. Even amongst millions of liberated souls, by the process of knowledge, I skipped ahead. Even amongst millions of liberated souls, Kotishva api mahamune, out of all kinds of perfections attained by the process of knowledge, yoga perfection in devotional service is the highest of all and the most mysterious also, even more mysterious than the 8 kinds of mystic perfections attained by the process of the yogic performances. In the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, chapter 18, text 64, the Lord therefore advised Arjuna about this bhakti yoga. Sarva guyat tamam bhutyaha shrinu me paramam vachaha. Just hear from me again about the confidential part of the instructions in the Bhagavad Gita. Just hear from me again about the most confidential part of the instructions in Bhagavad Gita, unquote. The same was confirmed by Brahmaji to Narada in the following words. Idam Bhagavatam nama yanme Bhagavato ditam sagraho yam vibhutinam tvam etat vipuli kuru. Now, Brahmaji said to Narada, whatever I have spoken to you about the Bhagavatam was explained to me by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And I'm advising you to expand these topics nicely so that people may easily understand the mystery, the mysterious Bhakti Yoga by transcendental, loving service to the Lord. Unquote. It is to be noted here that the mystery of Bhakti Yoga was disclosed to Brahmaji by the Lord himself. Brahmaji explained the same mystery to Narada. Narada explained it to Vyasadeva. Vyasa explained it to Sukadeva Goswami. And that same knowledge is coming down in the unalloyed chain of disciplic succession. If one is fortunate enough to have received the knowledge in the transcendental disciplic succession, surely he will have the chance to understand the mystery of the Lord and that of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the sound incarnation of the Lord. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport to the 35th sloka, 9th chapter, answers by citing the Lord's version of the 2nd canto, the cosmic manifestation of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the beautiful story and personality of Godhead. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So already about 7 minutes after 8. Let's see, there are some, before I begin to say something about the verse, there are some things I don't want to forget to ask the devotees for their blessings. Valari, a devotee who became a religious worker here around, 1998, 99, something like that. Served here for quite a few years before Katrina, I think, and then became a commercial truck driver and gave some contributions to us. He's very devoted to his mother. He never married. He's Afghan, Russian soldier, veteran, war veteran, who suffered flak in his hand and a couple other parts of his body. Anyway, he is very devoted to his mother, who was an initiated devotee. I'm not sure who she took initiation from. Living in Perm, Russia, which is on the foothills of those mountains that run across Russia that divide Europe from Asia. It's in the southern part of that mountain range. She suffered a heart attack due to COVID-19. She didn't know she had it, but it led to a heart attack, and now she's in the hospital quarantined in a room, and her only living relative had a son. They took him and quarantined him and never parted the hospital. And so they won't let anybody see her, of course. That also happened to Chaitanya Chandra's wife, who was hospitalized due to some blood clot on the brain, but nobody was allowed to see her, even though she didn't have COVID-19. Because of the whole pandemic, they wouldn't let anybody in the hospital. So anyway, Larry can talk to her on the phone, but he says she's becoming extremely weak because she won't eat. They just slide the plate under the door and nobody supervises her. And so she won't eat for whatever reason. She won't eat. He doesn't know what they're feeding her, but she won't eat. So he said the next couple of days are very critical, and he may have to leave in an emergency for Russia. So
He's not there?
no, right now he's still here. He just passed through and told me a couple of days ago. And so he asked, if we could please pray for his mom. And then, of course, everybody, I'm sure, knows that Bhakti Churu Maharaj was put on a respirator. I'm not sure if he's off or not yet, because somebody told me he was, but I never saw no confirmation of that.
I saw it today that it is to be 50% and then 20% he can be off, but he's doing better.
Just doing better.
Yeah, 20% they'll take it off.
He didn't want to be respirated because he didn't want to go unconscious. But then he left it up, he left power of medical attorney up to one of his disciples that he was staying with. And he didn't feel qualified, so he called the governing board commissioner, Sesha Prabhu. And Sesha Prabhu called the chair of the governing board commission and gave them all power of attorney. But in the meantime, it was becoming so difficult that Maharaj told the doctor that he would accept the respirator. And so that's when I think they moved him to a bigger hospital that is equipped for dealing with COVID-19 patients, and maybe even just specializing in it. And so they brought him in and put him on respirator.
And you have to be unconscious to be on that?
Yeah, because the tube goes down the throat. You become unconscious for a while, but then I believe you can be conscious. But I guess he was just referring to being put on it. Yeah, because I've seen people conscious on respirators. Okay. So anyway, they asked for, of course everybody was asking for people to pray for Bhakti Churu Maharaj, but also Valari's mother's there, and I'm sure the devotees in Perm are praying for her, as well as our sons, but probably not many other people in the world. So if we can chime in and offer some prayers for her too, then we'll see what Krishna and Providence's decisions on this matter. We're all just standing in a line, waiting to go to our next destination. It's a pretty big queue. But, the older you get, then the closer to the end you are, and no one can jump ahead. It's whenever our destiny has it. Due to some unfortunate circumstances, perhaps somebody can leave untimely. But there's a queue, and everybody has their time, and we have to be prepared for that. If we goof off and we just think that this human life is a time to spend like the animals, Prabhupada would often say cats and dogs, or like the crows, he would say, the crows, or the asses, camels and asses, or if one wants to be just like a cow and just eat, take pleasure in just eating and sleeping, mating, which is, the big recreational pleasure, so much used in advertising to make everything else sound good. And then, having some prowess, some potency to earn money or to defend oneself, consequently, we have big militaries and big military schools, and there's people who specialize in martial arts. It's a big thing in human society. Everyone wants to be a king. So a king has to be a leader amongst the warriors. So if we want to spend our life doing that and ignore our relationship with Krishna, one can practice of honor and cultivate their relationship with Krishna. That's the teaching of Bhagavad Gita is all about it. Throughout our Vedic knowledge, it teaches us to practice varnashram in order to please the absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, and to develop it into a divine practice of Daiva varnashram, where it becomes divine, where actually it's a yoga of devotion, bhakti, for pleasing Krishna. So certainly that is there. But if one is ignoring their relationship with Krishna and just taking pleasure in their varna and their social status in life, whatever that may be, retired or working, married or unmarried, if one just wants to be like the cats and the dogs, and it's very sophisticated cat and dog, just always enjoying eating. Like I have some friends like that. I grew up in that type of mentality. Certainly there was the religious side, but, that became ignored amongst my friends that I was associated with to a large degree. And I remember when I started to practice Krishna consciousness, this one good friend, he told me, I'm not ready to search out God. I'm got better things to do in this world. And he was a hippie in the day, so to speak, somebody who stepped out of society and was enjoying life independent in an alternative culture, that was sort of created by these people where they took a lot of Native American Indian culture, such as smoking weed and eating peyote and things like that in order to get what they considered spiritual visions and stuff. And then they would just enjoy eating and sleeping, and especially their sexuality. And they would just, derive some, do some work according to their pleasure, whatever it may be, and derive income like that. But they would, they tried to live a life of sense enjoyment, but because their pleasure was not legal, like those who drank alcohol, which was just as bad of a substance. But the alcohol was legal, whereas just like the hashish and pot and all that's legal in Afghanistan, but in Muslim countries, the alcohol is not. But in the West, alcohol is generally legal, and pot for the previous 100 years hasn't been. So, there was always worry and paranoia and suspicion of maybe going to jail. But when they legalized it, it was like my friend was living his dream. It was like he was finally living his dream legally. And he was like a bartender in a lounge that serves alcohol. He was a bartender in like a marijuana lounge, where he would make people whatever they wanted to smoke or whatever they wanted to eat. He would find it and give them the best. He knew all of it, just like a bartender knows all the drinks. They go to school for it. They learn how to mix a drink. They could even create a drink, and they have their customers. And people come in the world of the Malechas and Yavanas, they come there for fraternizing. There's a camaraderie amongst all these folks. they enjoy themselves in the lounge, you know. The men will all get together and they'll just talk about their lives and how they make money and this and that, you know. And so he was doing the same, but in a marijuana lounge, just enjoying life. And then, faith. You know, everybody should know. You know, he knows that he came down with cancer of the jaw. And he had to have his jaw removed. And so, now what is the possibility after a life of sense gratification? What is the possibility now to practice Krishna consciousness? He could have used that jaw to chant Hare Krishna. It may have been difficult. It may not have seemed as sweet as nectar as smoking that pot did. Because after all, Krishna said, you know, in the mode of passion and ignorance, it seems like nectar at first, and then later it becomes poison. Who knew after 40 years it would become poison? Just like the guys that chew tobacco. When I was growing up, all the ball players, not football so much, but baseball players, would all chew tobacco. I mean, it was common. You know, they right on television, they spit it out on the ground. So the kids growing up, many times, you know, when they got to be at least 12 years old, they would also sneak tobacco and chew it. And when they got even older teens, then they would even publicly do it. Right? But you may do that for 20, 30 years until you get mouth cancer. It's quite common. People who chew tobacco get mouth cancer, tongue cancer, lip cancer, you know. So my buddy got this jaw cancer. And now his whole life is spoiled. He can't enjoy materially. No, how's he going to practice spiritual life? He has no remembrance of Krishna because he's never practiced it. It's still nothing but vague. It's just some conception. People say, so all we can do is cry out, "Have mercy! Why are you punishing me?" Something like that. You know, they say so many things because they have not developed any love. They haven't developed any. Love isn't something that one is just born with, practically speaking. One has to be a great soul like Maharaj Bharat. Prabhupada spoke about Maharaj Bharat when he was here. One has to be a great soul like that. But all of us ordinary souls, we're not born with love of Godhead. You know, it's something we have to cultivate it. You know, you have to practice it. Yet, you know, it's initially, for most people, it's a cultivation of even faith. I mean, how can we have love if we don't even have trust and faith in the person we love? So initially, it's just a matter of cultivating faith. Because, I mean, who can have faith in Krishna if you don't know anything about Krishna? I mean, to most Westerners, when you would hear the Krishna book, it just sounded like, until they would, you know, get to some philosophical section, it just sounded like mythology. You know, just Hindu mythology. So there's no real faith in it. It's just a story where maybe you learn some moral teaching or something. So, you know, initially you have to develop faith, but if a person hasn't spent their time, their energy, especially when they were young, and cultivated it through their years in life, then what do they expect when they get old? I mean, maybe, just maybe, you'll be lucky and you can turn to it. Now, maybe there's a person who's a good person and you know, they practice, they're born in an ashram and just waiting for the day they could retire to cultivate more spiritual life. You know, they would hear the scriptures, they would depend on brahmanas to help them through life. But, you know, they were basically just absorbed in their dharma. You know, Sudra Dharma, Vaishya Dharma, Kshatriya Dharma. I mean, where do politicians have time for anything? Other than going to some event, listening to some pandit, and then leaving, and your mind becomes filled up with all the stuff you have to worry about. But then, you know, a lot of people who grow up in the heritage of Sanatana Dharma or Vedic knowledge, they know that that time of life comes where you can retire from all that and just cultivate your spiritual side of life. Therefore, we read in the Bhagavatam how many times the Kshatriyas retire, they turn over the kingdom, and they go to the forest to practice yoga, to become Krishna conscious. That's so, but most people, but in our Western world, it's not like that. You think about retiring so you can really enjoy. Now you can really enjoy. You don't have all that work to do, and now you can get a mobile home and go around the country, and you can follow your football team, or you can go to the Grand Canyon, or you can do this, you can do that. Sometimes devotees do that, but they're distributing books, and they're going to colleges, and they're teaching people about Krishna consciousness. It's different. You can see the difference. But people are just trying to cultivate their sense gratification even more up to the day they die. Then what good is that for spiritual life? It isn't good for spiritual life. It just means that one's going to come back to try to enjoy like that. So if one was very expert at sleeping, they may become a bear, because bears can really sleep. They hibernate all winter. They're expert sleepers. Or if one is just a very malicious, violent type of person who just can chew up his enemy and spit him out, practically speaking, one can become a tiger, or a lion. Lions just sit there digesting. They even make the women go out and kill, find the prey and kill it and drag it home, so that the king of the beasts can sit there and eat it. It's only when there's some very vicious attack that they stand up, and scare everybody away with their loud roar. Even Krishna says, amongst beasts I am the lion. So, if one's, expert at that type of life, they can be given a system for that. Or perhaps one's just really into intrigue and politics and governing things, whereby one's enemies always kept at bay. Then one can even become an Indra by real serious practice. So this type of life is not going to serve us in the end. If we misuse what is just temporary, the body's not going to do anything for us at the end. Our relatives are not going to do anything for us at the end. The only thing that's going to help us at the end is, what did we do with our life? What were our deeds? Because that's going to determine what comes next. So if those deeds were good, one will get a good birth. If those deeds were Krishna conscious, just trying to serve Guru, maybe one wasn't a real intelligent person. Maybe they even had some physical defects. Maybe even they were mentally lame. But if they wholeheartedly tried to serve Guru and Gauranga, had faith in Guru and Gauranga, Krishna, then everything will simply become revealed. By Krishna's grace, everything becomes revealed to his devotees. So it is not by any sort of material prowess that we can attain love of God yet. But it's by service to Krishna's pure devotee and serving Krishna through his pure devotee. If we do that, then we'll be blessed with love of Godhead. If we ignore that, how will we ever get the love of Godhead? We'll always be, fighting or on the outside, so to speak. Prabhupada would say like on the outside, like a person licking a jar of honey. You want to taste the honey, you want to taste the love of Godhead in the Hare Krishna movement. But you're only on the outside. You can't taste it because you won't be on the inside. Because on the inside, what is the problem? The problem is we're all forced to be humble and tolerant and respectful to one another. Otherwise, the devotional service, you think the material world is bad with karma. Well, devotional service is like a razor's edge. One little slip and you can cut yourself. What if you even unintentionally commit the mad elephant offense? You start, making fun of some devotee. Just like the little bitty sages, some little sons of Brahma, when they saw Brahma succumb to lust. Brahma succumbed to lust. He succumbed to lust. But, a lust that is extremely criminal. He chased his daughter. And when that happened, these sages laughed. And their next life, they took birth as the sons of Hiranyakashipu and were killed by Indra in a very terrible way. And then they took birth as the 6 sons of Devaki that were murdered by Kamsa. Until, Krishna brought them back from the god of death and taught them, never offend a superior, especially one like Brahma, because the result will be what you have suffered. So Lord Chaitanya taught that to one Brahmin who had doubts about Nityananda Prabhu. Because Nityananda Prabhu appeared to be a materialist in many ways. Appeared to be like one of those sahajiyas who, claim to be a spiritualist, but is obviously enjoying life materially. Nityananda was a so-called mendicant, but yet he wore a lot of jewelry all over his hands, and very beautiful clothes, and very nice silk turbans. And he didn't carry a sannyas danda or staff, but he carried an iron rod. And he would dance, and he was always in the association of Sudras and Vaishyas. And he would do all this singing and dancing. Of course, we know he delivered people and saved people, and he's Patita Pavana, but this very Pukka Brahmin had a lot of doubts about it. I mean, you look at that from a distance, and you're seeing it superficially, you really don't understand him, and you're devoted to Lord Chaitanya, who's so strict with the principles. Who could be a better sannyasi? No one. And so he went to Lord Chaitanya. And he at the right time, he said, I have a question. He said, I've come from Navadvip, and I have this doubt about Nityananda. Can you please answer it for me? And so then Lord Chaitanya told him that story. He said, don't ever doubt Lord Nityananda, because you'll ruin yourself. He's far, far, far beyond you or anyone else. If you start to ridicule him, if you start to make propaganda against him, thinking you're warning people, you're leading people properly, but actually you're completely misleading people, you will suffer tremendously. So in our Hare Krishna movement, Lord Chaitanya teaches us, to become humble like grass so we don't commit offenses, tolerant so we don't commit offenses, respectful so we don't commit offenses. Get rid of the pride. Why? So you don't commit offenses. When you're very prideful, there's always the possibility of committing an offense, because I mean, who can talk to you like that? So you see it happening all the time. You know, unfortunate devotees who can't stay because they're just a little too puffed up. And they won't surrender. Or they only surrender to someone far beyond everyone else, who's not even here perhaps. Oh, they'll surrender to Prabhupada, but you know, not going to surrender to anyone else. No one's qualified. You know? Because, you know, I'm so educated, and you know, and I'm so, you know, I'm a person of logic and reason, you know. No one can out-argue me. You know, this movement's dependent on me. You know, I'm young, and all these old fools are going to die soon. So, you know, I'm ready to take over. And so, you know, it's unfortunate. You know, we can't state how important it is to follow Lord Chaitanya's teachings. He wasn't wasting his time. He only wrote 8 things down. He let his disciples write everything else. But out of those 8 things, they say you should put that 3rd verse around your neck like a garland. Because only by becoming humble and tolerant is there a possibility of always chanting Hare Krishna. That was 5 years from now, we may put it on the shelf and go do something else. At least we've done it for that long. That will serve as very good in the future. But if we utilize our life, especially when we're young, and what to speak if we do it throughout our life, then, you know, we'll be prepared. You know, that practice will prepare one for the real test in life, because the real examinations are going to come on the day we die. And one has to be prepared. If you're not prepared, then what can God say? You wasted your life. It's like Prabhupada used to tell the boatman story. The boatman's taking the big scholar, the English scholar, whatever kind of scholar, across the Ganga. Ganga's big, you know, I mean, it's big, like any big river you've seen, it's huge. And so, a big storm, you know, he keeps asking the scholar, you know, do you know about mathematics? Do you know about astronomy? Do you know about biology? Do you know about grammar? And, you know, the boatman, of course, you know, he's not real highly educated guy. So the scholar keeps saying, you know, you're wasting your life. You should go to school. So finally a storm comes up, and it's very bad. The boatman finally says, you know, we got to get out of the boat, or we're going to simply drown. He jumps in the water. He says, you better swim for it. Scholar says, I don't know how to swim. The boatman says, you've wasted your life. So, you know, come the time of death, you know, when everything is tested, you know, what do you want? You know, and all we want is just to come back. We've wasted our life. We're going to come back for what? I mean, haven't we suffered enough? Is this what we want to come back for? Did we get enough enjoyment out of it? We didn't suffer enough to know that this enjoyment is simply peanuts? It's not worth our time and effort. There's far superior things, but to attain that, we have to be qualified. You know, we can't be attached to, you know, petty things. So it's getting late. We should stop here. Any comment or question before we stop?